Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hindustan Astrology. I'm Katya, and in this video, we are going to go over the month of May 2025 Jyotish Vedic Astrology, Vedic Sidereal Astrology forecast. All right, y'all, we got a big month, so there's not like a whole lot going on except for two big things. Of course, Mercury and Venus are going to change signs, but they do that frequently. We have Jupiter going into Gemini finally. Yes, this is going to be very interesting because this is also where the United States has their Jupiter. Okay, so it's a Jupiter return, happens every 12 years. And then we have the big nodal shift happening at the end of the month. We have Rahu going into Aquarius and Ketu going into Leo. Now, if you want to know what this means, I did a whole, hour and 40-minute PowerPoint presentation about this with my dear mentor in India, Dr. Sandeep Kanholi. It is up on the YouTube. And if you want to know what this means for all 12 signs, then there is a part 2 that is up as well. And we go over in detail how this will pan out for everyone. So again, if you don't know what your Vedic sidereal signs are, you're going to want to go to my website, hindustanastrology.com. You're going to click on the free chart calculator and enter your birth information, and you will look at your ascendant, your moon sign, and your sun sign in that order of importance. And that's how you'll read my forecast. And also, while you're on my website, don't forget to sign up for my free newsletter. I put it out once a month, the beginning of the month, just to let everyone know, where the planets are going to be, what big events are going on, etc. And just a little bit of news about myself. I am going to have my own office at the Bloomington Fountain Square Mall. It is downtown on the square. And I have been at the Bloomington Massage and Bodywork Studio with my dear friend Carmela. But I've decided it's time for me to get my own, independent space. So, if you want to get a reading in person, just go on over my website. You're going to click on book a reading, and under the tabs, it says in-person reading. That's for when you're going to come and see me at the office. I find it is really wonderful to do things in person. And I will have my massage table there. I'm going to be doing Reiki as well. I am a Reiki master. Um, and, obviously tarot, psychic medium readings. And I've been using my tuning forks a lot lately as well. So it is going to be at my little healing center. So I would love to see you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start our presentation for this month. All right, you guys, let's get started. So for the whole month, we are still in a Kala Sarpa yoga, and let's use this chart of the full moon as an example, except for Pluto. Now, remember, in traditional Vedic astrology, we do not use the outer planets. So the outer planets do not break a Kala Sarpa yoga, and that is when all of the planets are between Rahu and Ketu, okay? And so you can see they're all on this side of the chart except for Pluto. And the moon, which of course, every 2 weeks it's going to break this, right? So, the moon, it helps if it's inside of it. It makes it stronger. But what does it mean? So Kala means time and Sarpa means serpent. So this is a time serpent connection, meaning that when this happens, it is a time of fate and destiny. People that are born with this have, high highs and low lows in their lives. It's like their life has a very directed purpose. And, sometimes it can be I guess it just depends on the rest of the chart, right? But sometimes it can be a negative thing. But honestly, most of the time, what I've found is that a lot of famous people have this because they have a lot of challenges to become, famous and to get where they are. And so, like I said, high highs, low lows, and it always seems like, in a way you're starting over all the time, but you're at a different level of the spiral, leveling up. So it's intense. It's a time of intensity. Okay. Now, the first big thing we have happening is May 4th at 11:28 a.m. EST. We have Pluto going retrograde, 9 degrees, 36 minutes of Capricorn, Uttara Ashada. It goes direct October 14th. Now, I believe it is not going to hit the 6 degrees, 49 minutes. I think it goes like into 7 degrees. Because that's where the U.S. Pluto is, and we've been in a Pluto return, which is why there's been another reason there's been a lot of intensity. But when he goes retrograde, who is Pluto? Well, he's the god of the underworld. He represents death, transformation, secrets, secret societies. Um, he's the power of the small, right? Um, So we could even hear more about nuclear energy at this time. Um, you know, Viruses that can take us out, health matters could even be an issue. But in Capricorn, it really is about authorities and the government. And for the United States, this is in the second house. So second house is finance. Retrogrades are they actually make the planet stronger. And Pluto is one of the significators for the government and the military as well. So it will be interesting. Honestly, I'm kind of feeling like it might be a good thing for the economy. It's just crazy what's been happening. Everything's been up and down, but it's going to be interesting to see how Pluto retrograde affects the economy. Then May 6th at 6:40 p.m. EST, we have Mercury entering Aries. So he steps away from his sign of debilitation, which is Pisces, and lessens this Pisces stellium and joins the sun. So yeah, I mean, Mercury in Aries, Mercury is about our mind, intellect, thinking. Aries, especially in Ashwini, has a tendency towards ADHD and racing brain syndrome. And so, I think it's going to be good though. I feel like things will pick up. And especially, Mercury is legal tender, right? Jupiter and Venus are the things that money can buy, but Mercury is the money currency itself. And being in Aries, hey, maybe we'll get some good positive energy. Some things will pick up. On a personal level, yeah, I mean, Aries is fire, right? It's one of the fire signs. It loves action. So taking action on our ideas is a great way to express this Mercury in Aries on a personal level. Yeah. And then May 12th, 12:55 p.m. EST, we have our full moon of the month at 27 degrees, 59 minutes of Libra, Vishaka. So this is the first full moon that hasn't been at 29 degrees in about 6 months. So that's actually good. I feel like it's stepping away. 29 degrees is the end of the sign, right? So it's very potent there. So stepping backwards. And, Libra is all about partnerships, compromise, getting along, right? But Vishaka is the star of purpose, and it can be a little competitive, right? Vishaka, especially like, if you have this in your chart, if you have anything in Vishaka, you really have to check yourself and make sure you're not being power hungry. I mean, it can be great for sports, especially on the Scorpio side, believe it or not. But it's like make sure You have good sportsmanship, right? And what is that? That means looking out for the other players, not needing to always, score the touchdown. Um, if you're really, beating your opponent, allowing them to win a little bit, right? Just to save face. That's good sportsmanship. So Vishaka is not very good at that. They can just be very competitive, especially on the Scorpio side, can be very jealous as well. But Vishaka is the triumphal archway. And this is about setting goals. So if you're going to compete with somebody, compete with yourself, right? Write down the things that you want to accomplish and set some mile markers for yourself. Like by this date, I want to do this. By this date, I want to do that. It's a great way to use this energy. So let's take a look at this chart. So I actually put up the one from Bloomington. DC is about 6.5 minutes ahead of me. So that would actually put them in a Leo ascendant. So with a Leo ascendant, that is going to put this Mars retrograde in the 12th house. So the United States is really going to have to look out for their enemies during this full moon. This will put it in the third house actually for them. For where, when I'm saying DC, I'm saying, the head of the country. So really it's for everybody that lives in this country. This is just for my town specifically. But having Moon and Libra in the third house, guess what it's going to be all about? Compromise about these tariffs. So all of the talk we're hearing about, all of the saber rattling with China and all the other countries and everything. I think they're going to come to a consensus and decide that it is best for everybody to get along and to compromise. That's what I'm hoping. But that Vishaka, it is the forked one, so it can be forked tongued sometimes and be deceitful. So I'm just hoping that, things even out in that regard. And also that would put the ascendant in Maga for DC. So yeah, it really is about leaders, authorities, that would make the chart ruler the sun. The sun would go into the 9th house, actually. So all these take them back one. And having Mercury there, maybe they are finally getting some communication done, right, with this Mercury moon opposition. And Venus and Saturn they're not in a they haven't been in a Graha Yuta since the beginning of April. So they've stepped away. And then we have, Rahu and Ketu are getting down to the wire, down to the very last degrees, or, the first degrees, but, they go backwards, right? So these are the very last degrees of them being in the sign. And so there's a lot of endings, right? And then here we have Jupiter at 29 degrees. There's our 29-degree mark. So I have Sun at 27, 28, 29. This is the Brigu point for the chart. Yeah, so, this is going to be in the 10th house. Jupiter almost going into Gemini. It's going to be in the 10th house. And again, that is the government. So, honestly, it looks like the government and finances have a little bit of protection in this chart. Now, the Venus, Neptune, Saturn, Rahu will be in the 8th house for the U.S. And the 8th house is what? Other people's money. Money that is owed to us coming back. So, maybe these tariffs will eventually be a good thing. Right now, I know it's volatile, but eventually the money will be coming back to us. And then Jupiter heading into Gemini In the US chart, we've got, let's see, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, all in Gemini. So that is something that should help communications with our partners overseas because it's in the seventh house of opponents. So I feel good. I feel like this might be, except for the Kalasarpa yoga, things, the intensity lessening just a little bit. And then we have May 14th. And so this, just to reiterate, this is the 12th at 12:55 p.m. 2 days later, we have Jupiter entering Gemini, and the fact that he was at 29 degrees on the full moon, that's very telling. Oh, one more thing about this full moon. Since the moon is in Libra, that makes Venus the chart ruler. And being in the eighth house, we still have a lot of scandals and stuff coming out, right? Whenever we have this kind of a combination, you can bet it's some kind of sex scandal, harassment, assault, that kind of thing. And Venus also rules Taurus. And so, Jupiter really is going to be the focal point, I feel, for that full moon. And then he goes into Gemini. Yeah, so find Gemini in your chart and see what house it's in. That's where he's coming to protect you, because Jupiter is the great benefic, and where he sits, he protects you. So what are the qualities of Jupiter in Gemini? Well, Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is the doting stepson of Jupiter. He loves Mercury. Mercury was born from his wife Terra and the moon. And so he forgave them and raised the child as his own. So Jupiter, he doesn't do badly in Gemini, even though it's an air sign and he expands things, right? So, big ideas. What is air? It's intellect, it's our mind, right? And so here we've got some big ideas. We've got Mercury, like I said, rules legal tender. This is also something that could help the economy. And of course, information, the internet, AI, all that kind of stuff. This is all going to get a boost from Jupiter entering Gemini. So I feel really good about this. I'll probably do a separate video on this, just to go over everything with you guys, because it's going to be a little tenuous. He stays in Gemini until October, and he goes into Cancer. And then around the beginning of December, he goes retrograde and goes back into Gemini. And then next year he goes forward, goes back into Cancer. And then we have this lovely time next year with Jupiter and Cancer. Then he goes into Leo, where he does very well. So this is, I feel like, just like when you shoot an arrow, right? You got to pull back first to let go toward your target. And that's really what he's doing here. And then we have Sun entering Taurus. So he steps out of his sign of exaltation on the 15th, goes into Taurus to join Uranus. That should be interesting. Yeah. Happy birthday to all the Tauruses out there. Taurus is an earth sign. He's concerned with, well, it's ruled by Venus, right? So material things, this reality. Yeah, Taurus is a place where the sun can ground himself and get things done. So, Mercury entering Taurus will kind of slow things down. It actually might be good for the economy as well. On a personal level, he is going to slow down our minds, slow down our speech, but that's good because sometimes we can speak before we think things out properly. So Mercury will stop all of that. And then Mercury with Uranus, this shows like brilliance, actually. And then May 26th at 11:01 p.m. EST, we have the new moon at 11 degrees, 52 minutes of Taurus, Rohini, Nakshatra. So, where's our ascendant? Okay, so the ascendant is the same for DC as it is for Bloomington. And this makes Jupiter our chart ruler. And guess what? We just entered Gemini. So again, it's all about Gemini it's all about Jupiter this month. And, this is also where the United States ascendant is Sagittarius, Mula Nakshatra, actually. So this is us ironing out the problems with the tariffs. That's pretty much what we're going to see here. And, help with information, the internet, AI, all of that kind of stuff is going to be in sharp focus. Now, the moon here in Rohini, moon is exalted in Taurus. So this is where she shines best, where she functions best. Moon is mother and Taurus is very earthy. So this is the abundant mother who is protective and loving and loves to cook and is a good mom, that kind of thing. And Rohini is the red one. Rohini is the star of ascent. So it's very passionate, it loves to taste life. Taurus loves food. And here, it's like the toddler putting things into its mouth to understand its physical reality, loves to, like I said, taste things, drink things, just really enjoy life. But a lot of jealousy is put up here because this is the favorite wife of the moon. So there can be issues with jealousy here. Venus is still exalted. She's almost at her degree of complete exaltation, which is 28 degrees. So isn't that interesting? And also, now that Jupiter has stepped away from Taurus, they are no longer in a Parivartana yoga, right? Because before, when Jupiter was in Taurus and ruled by Venus, and Venus was in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, they were in a sign exchange. Now this has broken it, okay? And, Mercury's really zipping along this month, right? He started in Pisces, went into Aries, and by the end of the month, he is in Taurus. So his energy is really strong for this new moon as well. But this fourth house of the homeland, this Venus exalted, Neptune, Saturn, Rahu, we've got to be real careful of deception in the way of brainwashing, cults, that kind of thing. Whether it's religious or political or whatever, there's a lot of deception and scandal and illusion going on. It's like a veil in front of the public is what I'm seeing. And yeah, rest of this year should be super interesting to see how this pans out. Yeah, fourth house is real estate. I'm just hoping that the real estate market starts to improve. Excuse me. Allergies are really getting to me, y'all. I had the air conditioning on. It was blowing my throat. So, this Kalasarpa yoga is really making things intense. And then don't forget, we still have Mars over here in Cancer the whole month. He's in his sign of debilitation, right? So, we've got to be careful of our anger, be careful of our words. For this new moon, Mars is in the 8th house for the United States. And that actually could signify an attack because it is reaching its point of exaltation as well, which is 28 degrees. 28 and a half? Yeah. In Ashlesha. Ashlesha Nakshatra is what? The clinging star, the clinging serpent, the coiled serpent. And having in the 8th house, the house of death and transformation, there could be attacks. Um, you know, who? Well, Mars is in Cancer ruled by the moon. Moon's over here in the 6th house. And 6th house is the house of open enemies. So there could be something coming, from people that we are anticipating it from. Yeah. Things are just going to be a little intense for a while, you guys. Really until we get planets. Well, yeah, when Rahu and Ketu switch, which is the next thing, the 29th, right? Rahu's going to go back to Aquarius. Ketu's going to go to Leo. It's still going to be a Kalasarpa yoga because the other planets are all between. But when Mars goes into Leo and then goes past Leo and goes into Virgo, which is, I think, August, then we will break the Kalasarpa yoga. So yeah, this is huge. May 29th at 2:48 p.m. EST, we have Rahu going into Aquarius, K2 entering Leo. And, they stay there for 18 and a half months. And already the clients that are coming to me, last week I had a client with Moon in Leo. So here come all the Leos and here come all the Aquarians. It's like everybody knows Rahu and Ketu are in significant places in their chart. So I'm not going to go too much into this. Just go watch the other presentation. The two videos together is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. So that's why I split them into two. The second one on the 12 signs is an hour long. So go over and watch that. But, there's going to be a lot of stuff with technology, AI, humanitarian aid, mass consciousness for peace, and then political leaders falling. There's going to be the fall of a lot of kings and queens, shall we say, humility that is going to come to them. And then at the very end of the month, on May 31st at 2:05 a.m. EST, we have Venus entering Aries, where, she just gets to, taking action on things that she loves. It is Mars's sign, so it can be very passionate. And one thing I wanted to say about Jupiter also stepping away from Gemini is that because he's out of Taurus, Saturn is giving his third aspect to Taurus now. So all the planets as they go through Taurus are going to be really affected by Saturn's gaze. So he's looking at Taurus, he's looking at Virgo, and now he's looking at Sagittarius, his 10th aspect. So Venus going into Aries is between these two. And I think she's relieved, to tell you the truth, to get out of Pisces, even though she does great in Pisces, having all of these planets conjunct her has just been a bit too much. So yeah, that's basically it for May. We're going to be feeling Mars and Rahu and Ketu all month. If you want to see how this is going to affect you, you can book a reading with me online. Just head on over to my website, HindustanAstrology.com. I would love to see you guys in a reading, either on Zoom or in person in Bloomington, Indiana at the Fountain Square Mall. I am moving into my new suite on, basically I'll be ready. Oh gosh, probably about a week into it. So towards the end of May, I will be taking clients up there. And then, yeah, I'm so excited to see everybody. And I hope that helps you guys. And until next time, namaste. And I'll see you later. Bye. Okay, guys, let's do part 2 of our video for May 2025. This is our tarot section. So let's see what cards Spirit wants us to focus on for this month. Here we go. What does my collective need to hear for this month? So we have oppression reversed. So we have 10 of Wands reversed. And this is actually good. This means we are coming out of a time of oppression and being able to take our power back, okay? And maybe also we've been working really hard, burning the candle at both ends, and we're just tired. So I feel like that's a good sign that this is going to be a month where we can take a breath, maybe take a little vacation or something, and, recharge our battery. Okay. So we are stepping away of feeling like we're oppressed. So that is a good thing. Now we have 4 of Cups reversed in the middle. And 4 of Cups, this deck calls it mixed happiness. And the way that I feel this energy is, yes, it is a certain unhappiness, but it is also learning to step away from those negative feelings. 4 of Cups is you actively forcing yourself to find your joy again. After a time of disappointment, you've decided enough's enough, and I need to mix it up, right? So this is actually good. This is people taking charge of their own, using their free will to decide that they don't want to live in a certain, toxic mentality anymore. Okay. And then the last card we have is the Emperor. So this is excellent. On an individual level, this is like literally a man coming into your life, but also the divine masculine stepping up in yourself as well. And that is our ability to take care of ourselves, to protect ourselves, um, to create something in the outer world, right? Maybe it's a business. This is the Aries card. I don't know if you can see the symbol, but the Aries symbol's on here. So this is, that's that Venus stepping into Aries. That's that Mercury stepping into Aries, right? New ideas, stirring up, letting go of the past, right? Aries is the first sign. So these planets are stepping out of Pisces, going into Aries, saying, hey, you know what? It's time to be your own CEO. It's time to take charge, be independent, and really take action. So I think this is a good sign. We are stepping away from our depression. We are actively deciding that we want to be happy and doing something about it. And then here it is, the manifestation. So yay, this is a good sign, you guys. I hope that helps you. If you want me to pull some cards for you, I can do spreads. We can do a whole hour on tarot, really. There's so much to unpack. So I hope that helps you guys. And as always, sending love and blessings to you and your family. And I'll see you next time. Bye.